Hello guys and welcome to Everdream. Today we're going to examine the recent controversy within the DMC fandom involving Lady. This beloved character has been met with fan backlash, mostly from older fans who heavily criticise the authenticity of her recent portrayal. In this video, I will attempt to give a fair and objective criticism of the character as she is presented in the show. Let us begin. The first thing you will likely hear about Lady is that she is completely unrecognisable from her game counterpart. In my opinion, this is an exaggeration. Lady, in the games, is a fierce, but generally good-natured mercenary. However, in her debut, she was portrayed as a vengeful, short-tempered demon hunter who indiscriminately killed any demon in her path. And it is this no-nonsense version that is being adapted in the anime. It's not a one-to-one adaptation though, as the show takes certain liberties, two of which are significant. The first being her swearing, which, as we all know, is a very juvenile, very dated attempt by the writers to portray her as tough. But the second is more important. Earlier I stated Lady has been portrayed as either very abrasive and violent or very good-natured. And violent. This is because when we first met her, she was motivated completely by rage and the need to kill her father to avenge her mother, and only after accomplishing this did she mellow out, becoming the more light-hearted version that we all know. Thus, you could claim that this angrier Mary is an outlier, and the more good-natured version is the default. Now, Netflix's Mary has a slightly altered backstory, in which she experiences the apparent deaths of her parents much earlier than her game counterpart, thus giving her many years to process her trauma before even meeting Dante. Yet despite this, the character still lacks the mannerisms of default Lady, behaving more like angry Mary. Why is this so? Are the writers actually adapting her DMC3 portrayal without understanding its nuances? Well, while it may seem that way, and to be fair, there is a possibility it is that way, there is more to it. You see, because Mary was so young when her father went mad, she never truly understood that he was evil. Instead, she saw a man who wanted to protect his family be corrupted by his meddling with demons. So, she blames them for all her misfortunes. And with Baines encouraging her bigotry, it's no wonder she still ends up angry and hateful. But with her finally seeing the evil in humans and the potential good in demons, she may finally be on the road to being the Lady we all know and love. And just as she changed drastically in the games, it's possible a similar change may take place in the show as well. It is also possible that Adishankar simply liked the edgier version of Mary and decided to exclusively adapt this version, ignoring all nuance to the character. Either way, it's too early to tell, as this is only the first season. My advice would be to wait patiently for next season while expressing concerns regarding her characterization. Shankar is very active on social media, so he does see the critiques directed at the show. Moving on to the next point of contention, which is regarding her power levels. I'll be frank, I'm personally unsympathetic towards these complaints. Yes, Lady is stronger than her game counterpart. She has better tools, and seems to possess a higher combat intelligence than we've ever seen before. Yet despite the claims otherwise, she still very much operates within the limits of what a human should be capable of. This is evident throughout the story, as she mostly wins through either cunning, luck, cutting-edge weaponry, or some combination of the three, and the show did a good job of showing this. Yes, there are some nitpicks and exaggerations here and there, but it's no less than what you see from other similar characters in other universes. There simply is nothing Lady has done that the likes of Batman or even Trevor from Castlevania haven't, whether it be jumping from great heights or taking hits from superhuman opponents. The truth is, most writers who create stories involving superhumans often play fast and loose with the limitations of ordinary people. We see this even in the original games, as Lady casually swinging her bazooka around is already within the realm of inhuman strength. But most people don't care about that because, though extraordinary, it isn't overtly superhuman, especially when compared to the feats displayed by actual superhumans. And just as they play fast and loose with their regular people, writers do the same for their powerhouses as well. A great example of this is in DMC3, where Lady shoots Dante in the face, even though his reflexes really should have given him all the time in the world to dodge. I specifically bring this scene up to highlight the ridiculousness of fans attacking the Netflix show, even when the game does the same thing. The fact remains, for every elevator scene we have in the anime, there is a cutscene of Dante trying to stop Vergil from gaining ultimate power by lightly jogging. That is because, try as one might, these kinds of scenes are simply unavoidable when writing fiction, and weaponizing them to push your agenda is sweaty and ridiculous. Lady's power level in Season 1 is fine. If you want to critique something, it should be Dante, as he is the underpowered one. Sure, you could make the argument he is that way, so Lady shines more. But once again, that accusation cannot be substantiated until we get Season 2, as Adi has promised us that Dante's power levels will mirror the game's, and that he will get more powerful as the show goes on. And only if he fails to deliver on this will any accusation of character sabotage or favouritism hold any weight. And now we are at the last major controversy surrounding Lady, the one that accuses her of overshadowing Dante in terms of narrative importance. This criticism, I feel, is legitimate, and I've even talked about it in a previous video, which I will link in the comment section below. But to simplify, of our three main characters, Dante stands out as the weakest in terms of writing. Given that he is our MC, this is unacceptable. It's understandable why White Rabbit, our main antagonist, was given so much focus. But why then of our two heroes does Dante get the short end of the stick? This question has everyone, both lovers and haters of the show, scratching their heads. The objective truth is that Lady is the emotional core of the season. The writers simply gave her more agency in this regard, going so far as to parallel her origin story with that of the main villain, a setup traditionally given to the MC. In contrast, there is far less done to make us emotionally attached to Dante. And even what we do get, like his acknowledgement of his demonic nature, is barely delved into. I mean, what does he now think of himself, knowing he is a demon? What does he think of his mother, knowing she loved a demon? What is going through his head? We just don't know. The same can't be said of Lady though, as the writers took their time either telling or showing us exactly what she was dealing with. And I wish that same energy were there for Dante. I'm not sure how true this is, but I have heard it said this season was meant to stand in for the never-released DMC3, Volume 3 prequel manga, which would have featured Lady as the main character. And if true, it explains a lot. While it's never a bad thing for side characters to get a lot of agency, doing so at the expense of the lead is never okay. And Adishankar not putting in as much effort into Dante as he did gives the impression that he either doesn't understand the need to flesh out the main character, or he simply doesn't care to. And seeing as how even more popular side characters would soon feature in this show, this doesn't bode well for Dante. Once again, I talked more about this in my previous video. The link is in the comments section, go check it out. But getting back to Mary, my final consensus on her is that although rough around the edges, she is far from the worst attempt to adapt a character, and what we have to work with can easily be improved upon with a few tweaks here and there. Honestly, I think people blew this whole thing out of proportion. There isn't exactly one huge thing that is wrong with her character, but a couple of minor things that push her into the controversial territory. I still maintain it's a bit early for people to be so critical of her personality, as we don't know how the writers plan to progress the character in Season 2. But I do understand not vibing with her abrasive attitude, especially as she was always butting heads with the guy we were rooting for. But this doesn't make for a bad adaptation, as there is precedent for this behaviour. And since I've already made my stance clear on what I think of her power levels, which, to reiterate, are fine, I feel the major factor in making Lady so controversial is her competing with Dante for the lead role this season. If this weren't the case, the backlash against her likely wouldn't have been as severe, and people might have been a lot more tolerant of the nitpicks. Anyway, that is my 2 cents on the entire issue. And with that, I'm done yapping, so I'll ask, what did you think of the character? Did you enjoy her in the new anime? Let me know in the comments section below. As usual, please support my channel by liking and subscribing. I would be covering more of DMC in the future. The next video I would drop would be about the fur-coated terrorist himself, so please subscribe to get notified when that video drops. Till then guys, see you later.